everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be looking at Wargame European Escalation. It's a very good RTS. It's still in beta, but it can be had on Steam for $40. First of all, this isn't going to be an extreme overview. Like, I'm not going to look at each unit, tell you how each unit plays. I'm not going to tell you all the factions. There's just a lot of details. There's a very nice Frenchman, and I will link him in the description. He really goes in depth and he takes care of that for me. What I am going to take care of is I want to straighten some things out with certain players, let them know certain things, because mid-battle I'm getting asked questions, and I'm trying to help players, but when you're mid-battle, and it can be very dicey to try and help someone. You could pretty much lose the game if you're just trying to type and help them. It's really tough. But this game does have a steep learning curve, and unfortunately they didn't include a skirmish or a comp stomp. No tutorial either, so you just hop right in and there you go. God knows, when I first started I was getting owned pretty hard. I had no clue what I was doing. So just to start off, a couple points before I start this replay. It's not my best replay, but we do a pretty dang good job. I play Pact mostly, which is the Soviet side, and you know, there's Czech in there, there's a couple of the units in there. Don't mind that beep, that was my Nexus. So the game is very different. It's much like R.u.s.e. It's not really like World in Conflict so much. It's like R.u.s.e. just greatly improved. Not to put down R.u.s.e. I enjoyed R.u.s.e. I played it a lot. But it's just, there's something about it. It's a lot more immersive. The graphics are incredible for the scale. You can have somewhat over 60 miles worth of map. It's unbelievable. It's really impressive, the game. They did an incredible job. So, what I'm really going to talk about here is it's a very difficult game. It's gorgeous, it's difficult. It's a great game so far, but there's no marketing behind it. I didn't really see anything going on. I had no clue that this game even existed up until about a week ago when Steam ran that special, and that's probably why you're here also. I had no clue. I didn't even know this game existed. It was unbelievable when I stumbled upon it. Rarely do you stumble upon a game this good and you haven't even heard about it. It's unbelievable. It's one of the smoothest betas. So I've played through a lot of betas, and some of them have been really bad. Like, oh god, what is it? Red Orchestra 2. Oh, what a horrible beta. That one was one of the buggiest, one of the most unoptimized games I have ever played in my life. And I will link my computer stats in the information also. But this game is one of the smoothest. I have friends that have high-end rigs like me, that have low-end rigs, and they all say they're running extremely smooth on high settings, and that doesn't surprise me. It's one of the most smoothest betas. The only problems I've really recognized is that sometimes people get auto-booted out of rooms. Really odd. I don't know, maybe that's a feature, maybe it's because of balancing, I have no clue. But just regular rooms, they get booted. I don't know. That's something that surely doesn't seem too hard to fix. It's extremely immersive, and if you really want to get better at this game, fundamentally, watch the tape, watch replays of some of the best players. In the actual website themselves, they have a forum section, and a lot of people will post their replays, especially the really good players. There's a couple really top players, and that's what I did. I watched them like I did in Company of Heroes, and then I learned their moves, and I got a lot better. So now I'm going to get into the keys of the game, what you should fundamentally know before going into the game. This is the dynamic you should bring in. When you first start, when you're building all your units initially, you have a certain set amount of time to build your units. You want to spend pretty much all your points down, and you want to get a very diverse amount of units. You want to think like an officer, though. So you want to think, what is your objective? Are you going to be getting the, say this is me over here, I'm ruler. Say you want to get this flank. If you want to get that flank, that's your overview. That's like your officer viewpoint. You want to take this flank, you want to secure it, and then maybe you want to push middle over here. Now that's a fine plan. But plans can change, and that's where the other mindset comes in. You gotta think like a sergeant when you're in battle. So you gotta micromanage a lot in this game. You gotta be very careful. You gotta really take calculated risks, and you gotta show no weaknesses, because people, especially good players, will exploit those weaknesses. So know your bigger picture, don't lose track of it, and then try to micromanage with a sergeant-like gameplay. Now that might sound gimmicky, it might sound more simple than it is, but in reality that's all it comes down to, just like any real life war situation. Another thing is the command units. So this is where I'm going to get into the actual gameplay. People ask me this all the time, and even I've played 3 matches and I finally got the hang of it. Essentially, you start off with a command unit and the FOB. You can build multiple FOBs. I don't. I built extra command units, but I don't go too crazy with command units. Unlike Company of Heroes or other games, by you actually getting the objective, you don't win the game by just getting objectives. These are just reinforcement points. Think of them like that. So I'm gonna start this replay right now. And essentially, you see the 3 here. You see the 3, the 3. There's gonna be some that are 4. There's gonna be some that are 5, like 3 Mile Island. Essentially, what that gives you is reinforcements. So you want to put this vehicle in there. But remember, if you take your initial vehicle and you put it in Juliet right here, you will lose India, which is a reinforcement point. These actual arrows right here means that they're reinforcement points. You want reinforcement points. You definitely need them. They're actually more important than, I would say, Delta. You'd much rather have Charlie. I say this, people might argue with this, but I have played many games where I have actually won without taking any objectives, as long as I just took the reinforcement points. If I didn't take Juliet, I didn't take Echo, I didn't take Golf, it didn't matter. Kilo, that would be a one that I would like to take. That's a reinforcement point. But it didn't matter if I took these. And you'll notice that in the gameplay, because then you can reinforce from these points. Say you hold these objectives, you have recon units, and you pretty much hold them in their base, and you can reinforce from there. You can throw a lot at them. Now, if you're dying a lot, it might be smart to start getting these points, because they will make your numbers go up dramatically in the corner to reinforce your units and build more units. Essentially, send them in. And another thing that's not like, it's very different than other games, is you don't actually build any buildings or anything. Except your FOB, you don't build really anything. There's nothing to build. You just call in your units, they come off map. So you don't build anything. So the command unit, I just went over that a little bit. You just place it in Juliet. Now, another dynamic that I'm going to get into right now, get this right out of the way. I see a lot of people do it. They leave their tanks hanging, say, right here in the middle of the field. Boom, right here. Now that's all fine and dandy. A tank, people think tanks are like invulnerable. Like, you get a T-80, which is a badass tank if it's played right. But you get a T-80 and you're sitting in the middle of a field. What are they going to do? A recon unit can see you before a T-80 can see the recon unit. And if you're not reinforcing that T-80, it's going to get owned in a matter of seconds. Artillery can start raining down on it. All it takes is a good flak panzer that can just drill it, panic the crew, and then all it takes is even a lower class tank to come in, an Apache, pretty much anything else once the crew's panicked, and you can destroy it in a matter of seconds. And that goes a couple hundred points if you have it vetted. So you gotta be really careful. I see a lot of teams just go straight T-80s, and I'm scratching my head thinking, oh wow, this is gonna be very painful, and normally it is. So, you want to use hedgerows. That's where I was going with this. These are hedgerows. You see how this goes orange. That means that you would be heavy cover. It's very dense. It'll hide you and make an ambush point. Now, that is where you want to be. That's where you want to hide your command vehicle. That's where you want to hide your tanks. That's where you want to hide your artillery. Maybe your artillery over here. Maybe a recon unit down here. Maybe a tank over here. Maybe you put a couple infantry units over here. Everything's motorized in this game, so you can put all your units around here. So when you make an ambush point, also, this is where I'm going to lead into the other thing. Recon, recon, recon. Recon really is the name of the game. As much as command units are great for getting the reinforcement points, without recon, you are nothing. Especially when you start playing good players. When you get to recon units, if you don't have them, and the other team does, it's a wipe. They will see everything you're doing, and then you will be running blind into traps. So you gotta be very careful. And how do you know they're recon units? You see these little, looks like binoculars? Those are recon units. See, I'm sending one recon unit over here. I am not pushing left. I'm actually going to be pushing right with my teammate. What we're going to do is draw them, hopefully alienate this one teammate. I don't mind what this teammate does over here. He can try and push my base all he wants. But I'm going to bring my artillery up here, and I'm going to try and support my teammate's initial push. This other teammate, if we put him under enough pressure, is going to have to react over here. He's going to have to come over and assist his teammate, or his teammate is going to be annihilated. Now, I digress. I'm not going to talk about the strategy currently. But the recons. You see now this man, he is in forest. He is blinking, which means they can't see him. But his line of sight is very, very good. So, see, I hit him in a hedgerow. So when a tank comes up, the tank will not be able to see me. But I can see him. And that means everything. Also, you want to have, conversely to what the newer players think, now your base, you see that bar right there? That is ammo. That is supplies. That is a lot of people use artillery in base because it reinforces it, which is fine and dandy. But your artillery is very accurate in your base. The closer you are, sitting in a hedgerow, and you can see the unit here. Now, if you had artillery back here, with some anti-air cover, and with the tank, preferably an actually maybe an infantry unit, you can basically annihilate it. It'll be a very small diameter, very small radius of what you can hit. So you could pinpoint fire and destroy them. But I digress. Now I'm going to talk about what Ural's a supply truck. The guy didn't know what he was doing with the supply truck, and I get that because it's different. I didn't really know what I was doing in the beginning either. Now that bar right there tells you what kind of supplies, what they can do. Now when you drive this vehicle, it has a radius, like a yellow circle. So if you click on that, okay. You'll have like a poison pairs. Especially units that are highly mobile, like your recon units. And that's how you do it. They're not dead. You drive it back to your FOB, and you just sit it here. It will basically, essentially replenish whatever was in the truck, and then you can send it right back out. Also, another thing to note is fast travel. A lot of people driving around, they have no clue what they're doing. When you click on a specific unit that you want, and you click fast travel, it'll automatically start using the roads, which are much faster, because they're paved, instead of rolling across fields or dense trees that get stuck in the mud. It will use, say, I guess I did not tell you, but it can actually fast travel on the roads. It's a lot faster, so make sure you click fast travel, and then you click your destination. Of course, when you get closer, you want to click a hedgerow. So you gotta micromanage. You gotta micromanage that. But it makes a big difference. So now, since I got the basics now you understand where it's coming from. I hope that clears up some mistakes that people make. The game is very unforgiving, so you want to see how construction that we can do. His are all vetted hardware. As you can tell, he has 2 bars. Which leads me to another thing. You don't want necessarily the biggest tanks. You end up rolling around with 2 T80s when you could have, 4 T55s vetted fully to 5. Those T55s, especially the higher end ones, can totally own a T80 or 8 ohms. It's all about the way you play. And it's all about the price that you're paying for the unit. So the overall cost for that one T80 is very expensive. For that same price, you can get a fully vetted T55 that actually has a lot of good damage. So, and they're a lot more accurate because they're vetted. So you gotta calculate this. Like the 62MV is an excellent tank. It's mid-level. It costs a good amount because it costs nearly as much as those big tanks. Now, I'm not saying don't use the big tanks. Don't use the big heavy hitters. But you really only want to use them. Very limited quantity of vehicles, a very limited diversity. If you have limited diversity, then whatever they throw at you, they're pretty much going to win if they can react to whatever you're throwing at them. If you just throw out like 4 T80s in the beginning, 5 T80s, you're going to get rolled because all they'll do is just do what I said in the beginning. Flak panzer you, panic you, send in some Apaches, goodbye. That's it. Then it's them to do whatever they want. So, but as you can tell, this particular guy, I don't know why that man has a supply drop. That was not a smart move. Maybe he wasn't paying attention and he wasn't micromanaging. Now, again, this is what I'm talking about. See that ammo right there? He's running out of ammo. Also leads me to another point. If you are panicked, your people in your tanks or whatever they're in will actually perform worse. They will consume more gas, they will consume more of everything, and they'll be highly accurate. They will be scared, they don't know what they're doing. Even tanks, I don't know if it's supposed to be like this, but in a T80, when you get flak panzered, which a flak panzer does no damage to it at all, but it panics the hell out of them, maybe because of the bangs, the explosions. So that's how you counter those big tanks currently. Maybe that's a beta issue, maybe that's just a bug, maybe it shouldn't be like that. I don't know. I don't think it should, personally. If you're in a T80 and you're getting flak panzer, yeah, they should be startled, but they shouldn't. As you can tell, see, that was a command vehicle that just rolled up. But see how my units are all staggered? Now he's gonna come. That's what happens when you go he sent in his tanks and he sent them right into Tunguska's, which are definitely going to panic his troops, and then you have 62 M1s right next to him that are obviously going to blow him up, and then 62 MVs. He has no recon units, he doesn't know what's going on over here, so he just sent them in blindly. Well, my recon units knew what was coming at me. That's what happens. So like this unit, when you run out of gas, you run out of gas. So you cannot move. That's it. So this guy is essentially stuck. It's not focused in any way, as I showed you earlier. That when you focus fire, like there, say I knew someone was there, there was units there, that's why I was firing there. Let's say you focus fire, it hits in a small radius. This man is firing everywhere. He doesn't know where any of my units are. And they're totally concealed, so he has no clue whatsoever. whatsoever. He's just firing and wasting ammo. Now at this point he's totally lost, and I'm pretty sure he knows that by the score. It's 2,165 to 362. This game's already. But he does have 2 reinforcement points. His teammate over here is trying to hold 7. My teammate's pushing. He's actually pushing, which isn't a bad sign. Now, if only my teammate would have taken maybe an infantry unit with him, he could have concealed him in the bushes, panicked the troops, started firing with the main tanks, and then rolled in the infantry behind. He could have probably taken those mortars. Which isn't smart by the mortars. They're following him right out in the open. Right out in the open. I don't know. It's Panzer Grenadiers, so maybe Panzer Grenadiers do have a chance to take out the main tanks. So now he's using a gunship. He's going to try and fly around, exploit some weaknesses. Now there is a weakness to exploit here, because I don't have any Tunguskas over here. What am I going to do? Probably nothing at this point, because we own the map. But normally I would have a Tunguska with this. This is when I'm still learning. I mean, there's still a possibility I could take out some infantry and fire at the Gazelle, but as you can tell, the Gazelle's very weak tank as it is, and I do have my helicopter gunships. So as you can tell, this is all about strategy. What this guy is fundamentally doing, what these people are making mistakes with, are they can't see the lines, they don't have recon units, they're running in blindly, and they're totally rushing. This is not, like, you can't have a whole column of tanks, tons of tanks, and just rush into the woods, and you're going to run everyone over and annihilate us. That's not what's going to happen. You're going to get rolled. It's going to be the opposite of that. So my teammate actually has done pretty well. He sealed off his side. I've totally sealed off my side. This man has no chance, and we're just pushing him. He's even taken his man off one over here, Leonid, and put it over here. So these players obviously were new, and I don't think they were that low rank. So this is actually a decent representation of what you see at some mid-levels that don't know what they're doing. So now this is a demonstration. If you see how close that artillery is, if he's firing on these units right here, there would be total devastation. There'd be no chance. So what I did, instead of stagnating, and I already knew we were winning and this was in the bag, I started moving recon units for door. Now look at all the units I can see. This is from my perspective. This is not a neutral perspective. So now since I can see all this, the Soviets have an incredible vision, an incredible range. See, my artillery is focusing fire, but you see how long the range is? I have a prototype tank. It's just really hard. Great vision. And then voila, the game's over. That's how easy this game is. But as you can tell, don't mind my speaking if you didn't enjoy that. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of a view of what it's like. So, essentially, to recap everything, recon, use your artillery close knit, reinforce your units, be cautious, calculated, hold your hedgerow before you push. Hedgerows are everything, dense forest is everything. Now they can light the dense forest on fire and really hurt your infantry units, so you want to keep them loaded up until you have to unload them. So try to use all those natural boundaries to your advantage. And recon everything before you move in. If you send in, even World War II, if you just send in King Tigers into a village, you don't recon it, it's obviously a sitting duck, and it's going to be blown to pieces. You have to support it with proper recon, proper air support, proper infantry support. It's like that in this game, it's like that in real life. You don't just send a tank in to do everything. Maybe if you're in the middle of a desert, you know, and you're facing inferior air power. In real life, you would do that, maybe. But even then, you support your tanks. So, that's the whole point that I was getting. A lot of people I face, they don't support their tanks. For whatever reason. Support your tanks. And recon everything. And don't underuse your infantry. Your infantry is a great asset. A lot of them have excellent laws, which is actually a rocket launcher. They have excellent rocket launchers. They have excellent SAMs, surface-to-air missiles. A lot of them could actually be very, very good in battle. So, really, you gotta use them. Use those assets. They're very cheap, too. They're 25. You bet them, maybe 75 all the way. With a very good vehicle that can actually take out tanks also. So, you're getting a package deal. With every infantry unit, you get a very good APC of some sort, if you upgrade it. So you have to put your points in upgrades, remember that, and you can make your own deck. I guess I should have said that in the beginning, but this is my first walkthrough of this. So, thank you for your time. I hope you like my ramble. It's a total ramble and a jarbled mess, but I try to give you a little more insight. So this is one of my earlier plays after watching hours of other players. And as you can see, I was only ranked 6 here. I'm well ranked 9, 10 now. I think I'm 10 right now. But this gives you a little view of what's going on. So, thank you for your time, and really check out this game. Try it on beta. $40. You didn't hear this from me, but if you don't like it for whatever reason and you buy it, you don't actually get charged until the beta's over. And if it's your first time trying it, you can actually contact Steam if you don't like it, and you can get it removed from your account. But if you like RTS and you like the old school RTS, you will like this game. So, this is Rublet, and thank you for your time.